Hello, Internet. It's been a while. A very long while, actually. Um, I, I think it's high time I finally ended this hiatus I've been on. As a point of reintroduction for those that know me, and a point of introduction for those who don't, my name is Declan Fletojohn. As of the recording of this video, I've been an active member of the Linux community for about 3 or 4 years. I daily drive Void Linux and Slackware, and then I also sideload Arch when I want to use it for gaming related things because those distros are great, but there's some nuance, there's some gaming things that you can't do very well on them if you don't have the proper hardware. Which is regardless. I digress. That's me. Admittedly, there's not much there. I know I'm not exactly, the $1 million man or anything, so I don't got a lot going on. But I'm here. The goal of this channel, and it has been since the start, although I didn't do a great job of incorporating this idea due to, well, you can just take a look at my other videos. No new user or intermediate user is going to be looking at this being like, wow, a 5-hour LFS stream. I can't wait to see that. That's just not how the world works. But the goal of this channel, truly, is to create content for all manners of users. Your Linux wizards, or power users, whatever you want to call them. Your average user, just your average Joe, your new users. Hell, I want to make content for the people who just want to know what Linux is. Not even interested in it per se, but they're they're using Windows, they're using their Mac. You say, well, what the hell is Linux? What the hell is BSD, right? I want to make content for them too, so they understand what's going on. And then if they want to become a new user, great. If they don't, at least they know it's here in case that ever comes back around and they're like, hey, might as well. I realize this channel isn't old. It's not. When I say long hiatus, it was about a year, so it's long, but it's not like it's not as bad. It's not like I abandoned this channel for 5 years and I'm suddenly coming back to it now. I in the interest, because of this and because it was so quiet and obviously, my content wasn't addressing a large audience, I want to change that. As much as I love doing LFS streams, and I want to do those, don't get me wrong, that's like top priority. I want to keep doing those because, LFS gets updated too, like any other book, any other textbook, right? But I realize that's not the way to go anymore. I mean, that can't be what I mainline. So what I want for everyone who sees this to do is I want you to drop a comment down below or email me at my business email, which will be in the description, and it's also posted on my channel. And I want you to tell me what you want. I want to know what the community as a whole wants to talk about, not what I think should be talked about. Although that may come up in some of the video series I've been planning, and we'll get to that later. But so to get not only my viewership, but just to help enrich the community as a whole, we need to have conversations about anything and everything. We need to have an open dialogue. So, that's where we're at with that. Now, in terms of those video series I mentioned earlier, I have 4 planned series that are in designing and planning that I'm really excited about. One, I'm going to be bringing back the weekly Linux newscast, and instead of recording a live stream and talking to people as I do it, I'm just gonna, record a video, release it. Once that video gets released, it'll premiere, and then I'll have a live chat open in a Discord server, my Discord server. I'll have it linked down below as well. And we can talk. Although I would keep in mind that these conversations would probably be recorded, just because almost any discussion that comes up, if something important might come up that somebody else would have a question about, I mean, why not have that discussion and then make a short out of it, or even a snippet of a video, right? That, but it'll just be news. That's all the main video is going to be. It's going to tell you what's happening in the tech world. It's going to tell you kernel news, software updates, although limited major releases, and perhaps major distro releases, not just a minor point update, right? I'll say the next thing I want to start incorporating into our daily schedule, to our regularly scheduled programming, is a new user's guide to Linux, and again, new users, also including the people who are just looking into Linux. I'm just gonna call it what you need to know about Linux. Very basic, This is my knowledge on it. You take this, you learn. That's what you need to know. That's it. There'll be very short videos, probably 9 to 10 minutes long, each discussing some surface level and maybe intermediate level bits about key components of your Linux system, so you can better understand what you're getting into. So when you do get your new system or future system, obviously Linux is not Windows, Linux is not Mac OS. This helps you understand some of the differences and how to navigate those differences once you get your new system, or how to just mitigate any nuances you didn't know about before or you wouldn't expect, because there's some things with Linux that, as much as I love it, you just don't really know to expect until you've come across it yourself. Another video, and one of the other series I was planning to do, and this one is actually one I'm probably most excited for out of all of them, is going back to our roots. Now, Linux has at least an over 30 plus year history, and we've gone through ruts, we've gone through we've been on our high spots, and I think we're finally starting to plateau, but the only way to go from here is up. But I think it's important we take a look back. I'm not just saying installing an vintage system or an old version of an OS, although we will be doing that, and just taking a look at it and being like, oh, this is this. Oh, wow, look how different that was. Like, yeah, anybody can talk about that. But we're going to talk about what these systems did. Yggdrasil Linux comes to mind. If you've heard of it, congratulations. You're familiar. But if you haven't, that's a reason to listen in. Because all of these distributions that have gone past are still running, but used to be different in nature, brought something to the table. Whether it was a package management, a more efficient package management, or anything, really, a more efficient installer, they all brought something to the table, and that's what I want to discuss. I want to give credit where credit is due, and the only way you can truly learn about why some of the things are the way they are is through history, right? The same goes for world history, or American history, or German history, or Argentinian history. It really doesn't matter. It's so you can understand why the things are the way they are. That's the entire goal of that, and probably what I'm looking forward to most. The next show I want to talk about is how they're different. That's the title. Each episode will be a breakdown of specific aspects of your system and how different software administrate tasks within that part of your system. This can include anything. It can be an init system like System D or run it, or it could be a video editing software, right? just, off the top of my head, I'm recording. I'm going to be using some, in a little bit. So, why not use that as an example? Because I think what we have a habit of doing in the community, and I mean, like, not just Linux community, I mean, anytime we're talking about anything, we act like it is, we can, not always, but we can act like it is in a vacuum, right? Not for the most part, none of the software we in the open source community look at is really one of a kind. Not, it is one of a kind, but it's not. It shares a type with something. For example, bootloaders. All right, they all do functionally the same thing, but there are different aspects of it that make it better. For example, you have grub, and then you have kernel EFI stub, which is booting straight from your BIOS, right? But I personally want to see more content anywhere, everywhere, of where we actually take things and compare them, like I'm suggesting, as opposed to just looking at it and taking it at face value, because it's just not as productive or conclusive as a comparison to its counterparts would be to a viewer and user, because that's what you are. It's an audience-led series. I want to know what you want compared, because the fact of the matter is, use case is still generalized. My use case is a little strange, because I run 3 different operating systems, 2 of which are considered more obscure, 1 of which is more mainstream, but I don't use it nearly as much as I use the other 2, and the other 2 have some nuances, as distros do, as different systems do, that prevent me from taking one use case that a YouTuber maybe mentioned, or streamer mentioned, or whatever, and applying that to my life, because everyone's situation is different. That's just the fact of the matter. I want to present the options and allow you to choose, and this means a comparison. Future Declan here. I need to correct myself here. So I use a turn of phrase, or an analogy that makes it seem like I don't have all the time in the world, and therefore it's very confusing. But my point is, this is meant to be given to you, who doesn't have all the time in the world. Most Linux users are not 16-year-old high schoolers like I was when I started this channel, and don't have time like I do. You want to spend time with your families, if you have them. You want to spend time just doing what you want to do. You don't want to spend all this time searching on the internet for something that might not be easily found, right? That's what this is about. It gives you the comparison. It gives you the pros. It gives you the cons. It tells you what you might need to know. You apply it to your own use case, and that's it. You don't need to go search around the internet. You don't need to go check in forums. You don't need to go check in 5 different reviews, or 6 different YouTube channels to get their opinion on it, or their overall review. That's all I wanted to say. I didn't word it the best when I recorded that, so I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. Lastly, in this video that I've been recording for In an announcement video that probably shouldn't be as long as it is, I want to thank the Linux Tube. Alex is a friend of mine. He started his YouTube channel just before I did, and I actually did a video with him. Must have been closer to a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Honestly, the time blurs together. There's nothing I can do to change it, but we had a wonderful conversation about converting Chromebooks to Linux. And recently, I was able to join him on a community podcast that he does, very much like a Linux users group, if you're familiar with what those are. And through, I'll say, some light prodding, and then just me focusing on it, because that's what my ADHD brain tends to do. He helped me restart this channel, and honestly, I can't thank him enough. I love doing YouTube. I love doing YouTube. I loved doing YouTube in the past. I just got burnt out quickly because 5-hour marathon LFS streams don't exactly scream not burning yourself out, right? But again, all of that aside, thank you so much for your support and for helping me just get back on the proverbial horse. I'm very appreciative. To everyone watching this, there's just one thing I want to say. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I realize you don't generally get, Linux information or anything related to Linux from a 18-year-old on the internet, but, here I am, and regardless of whether you continue to pay any attention to me or not, I want to thank you just for that. Your attention and your willingness to listen means a lot. From the depths of my soul, I mean it. And I wish you well. That's it. That's all I really gotta say. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you, and I hope we see each other again. It's gonna be fun. So at least that's the way it seems. This is Declan Fletterjohn, signing off.